Welcome to Garden Times. Today is July 12th and we're in zone 3B and we're going to be working on our tomato plants today. These are our indeterminate tomatoes, our San Marzanos, and we're going to be pinching off the suckers and tying them off with jute twine. As you can see here, I've already got this tied off one time. And I've already been pinching off suckers throughout the season. But here we have another one. So we have a leaf branch, and then our main stem. And then right there is what we call a sucker. And you just reach in there, give a nice little pinch, pop it off. And that's what they look like. Indeterminate tomatoes, we want to get rid of these. Here's another one here. Got the main stem, another leaf branch, and a sucker right there. And we just pinch it off and discard. And you can see down here, we've already got some tomatoes started here. Right here. And as you see, these are the fruiting branches, and they'll come out and then make shoots. They'll flower, and then they're pollinated, and then they begin to fruit. Here's another set of flowers. Another set there. Little sucker there, pinch that off. Then here's our main stem. Comes up. There's the very top. And right there is the beginnings of the next flowering branch. So what we'll do next is we're going to tie this gently, kind of maneuver the branches, the leafing branches around, so that you can get your main stem pretty close to your stake here. And then we're just going to tie it off right here. And what we do is take a length of your string. There's other products you can use, but this year I decided to use this jute twine. And what you do is you gotta be careful so you're not tying this too tight. But what I do is I do a figure 8, go around the main stem and keep it loose, kind of loose, not too loose. That way it gives the main stem room to grow. As it grows, it's going to continue to grow, and we don't want this to be so tight that it just chokes it off and girdles it, and it'll just kill the plant. So then we just tie it to the back of your stake, and that's it right there. And that just holds it in place. You know, if you move your branches around just enough, it kind of helps stabilize it next to the stake. You know, sometimes you can go down here and tighten this up. If you tie the right kind of knot, you can just untie it real quick. And there we go. And we're just going to keep moving on down the line. And after I get done doing this, we'll go on a nice tour of the garden and we'll see how everything's doing. Okay, now that we've finished up with our indeterminate tomatoes, now we're going to talk about determinate tomatoes. These are Romas, and as you can see, they're more bushy shaped. They don't have just a main stem that grows up. They got multiple stems. They kind of have a small main stem, but then they branch out a lot. This one here is unpruned. I haven't done anything with it yet. The only thing that I do prune is some of these bad leaves that are drying up and dying, probably due to early blight. It's kind of inevitable in a lot of areas. I've tried a lot of different things to prevent it or stop it, and there really isn't much. I have one more plan that I'm going to try next year, but otherwise I just learn to deal with it and just trim it off as soon as I see signs of the early blight. I just prune it off to try to keep it as under control as possible. This is supposed to be a early blight resistant plant, but you know, according to the package, but you know, it still happens. Something here, you know, I haven't been able to keep up on the weeding, and that's something that really does help to prevent the blight, the early blight, is to keep things weeded along the plant. And something that I do is I prune up some of these branches, some of the leaf branches only, to give it more air space. I got an example back here that I finished up. I'll show that to you, and then I'll show you on the next plant how I do it. Okay, this is an example of one that's been pruned up. You know, you can see how much more air space there is in here, more airflow to dry the leaves out in the early mornings when the dew is out, or when it rains. Takes the soil, knocks the soil up on the leaves, and the dew in the morning, that's just the perfect conditions for blight. So the more air you can get in there to dry them out earlier, the better. And so also you can see all the different branching here, how it grows differently than our indeterminate tomatoes. You kind of got a small main stem here, and then it branches off, and it branches off again here, and we got some tomatoes growing here, up here, over here. More flowering up top here, and even some fruit starting up here. That's a lot different than our indeterminates, where they flower fruit, begin to fruit, and then the next ones begin to grow flowers. The next level up is being pollinated. The next level up is beginning to develop flowers, and they just keep working up in levels and stages, where determinants, they pretty much grow all at once. We'll get a few early ones, and then all of a sudden, all at once, everything will fruit, and then they'll taper off towards the end of the season, and you get maybe a few more. But they pretty much all come at once. So, and there we got our old little pollinator there, a little bee doing its business, helping us out. Okay, so here's one that we're gonna kind of clean up a bit. Prune off some of the leafing branches here. And today I'm just using a knife. You can use scissors, a knife, you can pinch them off, pull them off. But sometimes when you pinch and pull, you end up pulling some of the skin off of the main branches, and you know, that's not really too good for it. So today I'm using a knife. And you know, you're cutting off stuff like this, discarding that. So that's where we start. Start on this lower stuff, cut out anything that's bad. Then we're looking for any branch that's kind of hanging downward. You know, we'll take this one off here. Anything that's crossing over, like right here. We'll take this one off here because it's coming to the center. I like to open the center up a bit. That way airflow can get through. We don't want to take off too much. You know, it's a nice healthy leaf, but it's overcrowding. You know, here's another good example. It's hanging down. It's kind of in the middle, and it's not getting much sunlight, so we can get rid of that. You know, this one down here, touching the soil, so we're going to get rid of that one. Another one here hanging down, getting close to the soil. Get rid of that one. Here's one in the center. We'll clear this one out. Another one here. You got to be careful because you can over prune and stunt the growth of the plant. I think this one here would be a good one to get rid of. Some of them, if they're really healthy but hanging down, it's just because they're, you know, they got hung up. So you can just pull this up and get it up there, get it outside of the cage here. We'll do that with this one too. You know, that one hit the soil. You don't always have to take off the whole branch just because it's hit the soil and has a few bad leaves. You can take and just cut a section of it off. Like that. And then lift it up over. Some more bad stuff down here. You know, on our indeterminates, we were pinching stuff like this off. On these, we'll leave that alone because this will grow a new branch. And now that we've opened this up so this can get some sunlight, these branches will grow up and start developing tomatoes. And that'll about do it. So we didn't take out too much. We took off all the bad stuff. Anything dead or dying, anything that might be infected. It's looking good. So that'll do it for our determinate style tomatoes. And we'll go check out the rest of the garden. So here's the garden tour. Here's our bell pepper plants. Some of them are doing better than others. They take a while, but they're flowering. And we have the rest of our tomatoes over here. These are our Romas in the cages, our determinate type tomatoes. We also have some slicers. We've got some Cherokee purples and some Abraham Lincolns in here. and some cherry tomatoes mixed into this row over here. And then this is all Romas. And then here's our San Marzanos, indeterminate tomatoes. Over here, here's our potatoes. They are doing awesome this year. We've had a little bit of a problem with the Colorado potato beetle. I don't do anything except for walk through and just squish them. That's all that I do. I don't put anything on them. I garden completely organic. I don't put anything on them at all. So it's just best to go through as you see them and pinch them off, or squish them. And we got Yukon Golds, and we got Kennebec Whites, and we got Pontiac Reds. So they are doing really good. I imagine we're gonna have a pretty good harvest this year for potatoes. And there's Penny. And over here we got our onions. These are our red onions here. And the onions are doing pretty good. I gotta get in and do some more weeding again. And here are our yellow onions. These are doing really good. They're starting to swell up here. I'll find a couple here at the end, I think. You can see down here. Starting to swell up. Starting to grow bulbs on them. Gotta get in here and weed again. It's the never-ending battle of weeding. It's just continuous. Over here we got our cucumbers. They're starting to do all right. Had a little late start on these, but they'll catch up. We got some dill going here. We got dill on each end of each row here. We got slicers and picklers. And over here we got our squash. We got summer squash, winter squash, acorn squash, and zucchini. And of course over here we got our sweet corn patches. I've been working on weeding in here. I can't do anything with the hoe really, and the only thing I can't get the tiller in there, so the only thing I can do is go through and do it all by hand. So a little at a time, and it'll get done. You can see here, I did the Three Sisters method. So we got our sweet corn, and then we got our beans, and then over here we got our pumpkins. There's more beans there. They'll grow up along the corn, in return giving nitrogen to the corn. Over here we got our garlic. This is getting close to being ready to harvest soon, and I'll make a video on that. And how we tell when it's ready is by the leaves here. As you see, it's starting to yellow. And we got till we get to this leaf right here. We'll have 3 left here. This will be completely yellowed out, and like this here, And that's the signs of when it's ready to harvest. You can see these lower ones, these lower leaves are drying out. So we got 1, 2, 3. Your fourth one is usually where it's time to harvest. Once that yellows, and you can see along in there, you got some yellow, and you might have a few that are a little bit earlier than the rest. So you kind of want to go on the average of your crop. So, well, there you have it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching, and happy gardening.